Hello and welcome to the All Things Geek podcast. My name is Leighton. I also go by Rangus on YouTube and the Northern Dalek on Instagram. I am joined by my co-host
Tyler. I go by Bionic Asai pretty much everywhere I am. Aspiring voice actor, part-time YouTuber, and full-time geek.
Yeah. I just want to mention, I don't know if Spotify says anything if podcasts are explicit or not. I haven't listed that, so I apologise if it turns out to be the case. I will update that after it comes out, because, yeah. And I also need to mention, because I'm ill, I may cough, so if you got headphones on, I'm sorry that I sound like I'm coughing up a lung, but I will try and mute myself when it comes to that. So, for the first episode, I decided to write some questions so you as the listener can get to know me and Tyler. So my first question, as a toy collector who buys from multiple lines, what can you safely say are your top 3 figures and why?
So for me, my top 3 figures I own would probably be... number 3 is the Hasbro Black Series revamp Stormtrooper, the one from 2020. That figure is incredible, and it's just so much fun. It's perfect. Number 2 would be the Lim Toys Limini Ahab, a.k.a. Metal Gear Solid 5 Venom Snake.
Oh, yeah.
It's an incredible figure that comes with so much stuff, and it's probably the most satisfied figure I've ever been. I've ever had for the money I paid for it. And then at number 1 would be the Hasbro Dungeons and Dragons Driz Do Erden.
Is that the 2-pack?
With Guinevere.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that figure. I love that character. And unfortunately, it seems to be the only Dungeons and Dragons figure they're going to make, so it means a lot to me.
So my 3 are a bit different. Well, they are very different apart from one. So in my 3rd spot is a figure I recently picked up last week, which is the Marvel Legends Baron Zemo figure, which is the retro one. I absolutely love retro looking Marvel Legends figures, so this was a big one for me. I love the design, and in hand it looks incredibly good, especially around the face, and just overall a really solid figure. He uses the Red Skull body, which is a really good body to use, especially from the torso upwards. For my number 2 spot is the Black Series, or Star Wars Black Series revamped Stormtrooper, an exceptional figure. It's like having a little person in your hand, because the armor moves like how it actually would in real life. And for my number 1 spot is the DLX 30 Bumblebee, which is my pride and joy of my collection. And it's a centerpiece. It's a work of art in my eyes. So so that's our top 3 figures. So moving on.
What is your favorite toy line to collect, and why?
As of right now, I've got to say Marvel Legends, and that's mainly due to the comic side of things. I don't really collect the MCU stuff. I know you do, but for me personally, the retro comic classic look for things just really appeals to me at the moment. So yeah, Marvel Legends is my go-to at the moment. What about you?
Currently, Marvel Legends as well. I do collect the MCU stuff, and I love that. But the Hasbro Fortnite line is very quickly coming in at a close second, and I have a feeling when the Foundation figure releases, that might be a turning point for me. But we'll see.
Yeah. I can see that. I mean, I only have Sky at the minute, so I can completely understand that. So, what are your hobbies and interests?
So as I stated earlier, I am a aspiring voice actor. Voice acting is one of my absolute favorite things to do, and I would very much love to make a profession out of it. I do enjoy writing scripts, creating stories, telling stories, making videos as well, though I've been less active on my YouTube channel than I would like to be. Figure collecting, of course, and figure photography. Also figure customizing is something I do a lot of as well.
Yeah.
What are your hobbies?
Apologise for that. So my hobbies are voice acting on the low, so like what you're saying, how you want to make a profession out of voice acting. I also love filmmaking, so directing, editing, and acting. That's like a massive love for me. Toy collecting, figure photography, just editing in general, like script editing, and the occasional, like, if we're talking like outside of stuff like that, I guess like gaming as well, and listening to music and stuff like that. I know music's a massive passion of mine, along with all the other stuff. So yeah, yeah.
Alrighty. So name your favorite TV shows.
Okay.
Top 5.
Top 5 TV shows. Most of these are probably going to be British ones, obviously, but in no order, in no particular order, I should say. Doctor Who, Only Fools and Horses. Oh God, I really should have actually thought about this. Shit. Actually, do you know what? You can go first, and I'll come back to this because.
All right. So my top 5, I came prepared, of course.
Okay.
My top 5 in no particular order are Daredevil, Avatar: The Last Airbender, The Witcher from Netflix, Arcane, also Netflix, and The Dragon Prince, also from Netflix. But those would be my favorites. Those all mean a lot to me.
Right, so I think I've got 5 here. I'm just gonna go for it. Oh no, I'm gonna change that actually. Shit. I've just thought of one. Right, so in no order: Doctor Who, Only Fools and Horses, which is a comedy, Life on Mars, Phoenix Night, and Max and Paddy. Again, those are very obscure British comedies, most of them. So, yeah. So, it's my turn now. When did you start collecting and get into like geeky stuff, if you can remember that far back?
So I have pretty much been into geeky stuff like Star Wars, Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Initially more DC than Marvel back in the olden days before the MCU.
Yeah.
But pretty much all my life, because my dad is a geek as well. As for collecting, it kind of spawned off of my interests in Bionicle, but I only really started figure collecting like properly back in 2018. What about you?
So I'd say I've definitely been a collector the longest then, because my first proper love was Doctor Who, but I can't remember when I got into Star Wars. It's just always been there. So I started collecting Doctor Who figures in 2005, along with Revenge of the Sith figures. So it kind of started quite fast for me, in terms of that. Yeah, so like Star Wars was my main thing, and then Doctor Who came out and I was obsessed with that. So I'd think around like '05 for me is when it really kicked off, and then throughout that time it's either been like Star Wars, Doctor Who, other things, Bionicle, Lego, and then NECA at one point when I was obsessed with Predators and stuff. And so yeah, I've been collecting for majority of my life.
All right. So this next one, I'm going to throw you for a little bit of a loop again because you did not come prepared. Another list, but top 10. What are your top 10 movies?
I did come prepared. Actually, I wrote them down. So my number one spot has always been the same. I think this is the thing with me. I always change what I put in my list. For example, I'm doing it right now. So my number one spot is Empire Strikes Back. Such a special film to me, and it is the definitive Star Wars movie in my eyes. And then after that, like the 9 that I'm going to tell you about are just very all over the place. They can come in at any point, depending on how I'm feeling. So I've got Blade Runner 2049, Predator 1, The Nice Guys, which is the film with Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe. Very good comedy, very underrated. The Batman, I'm going to talk about that. The Suicide Squad, the new one. Revenge of the Sith, I know you... Yep. Terminator 2, Judgment Day. And finally, The World's End. What about you?
All right. So I'm going to go from 10 to number 1.
Okay.
The Dark Knight.
Okay.
The Dark Knight is my number 10. Empire Strikes Back. Joker after that. Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Interesting. Okay.
Big Hero 6 in the number 6 slot. Number 5 is Great Gatsby.
Yeah.
The Leonardo DiCaprio. Number 4 is No Way Home because of just everything that movie gave us that we thought we'd never get. Number 3 is Civil War.
Oh yeah, good pick.
Number 2 is The Batman.
Oh yeah, okay.
And number 1,
I'm glad you've got it in your top 10.
All-time reigning champ of my list, forever and always, is Heathers.
Okay. Good list. So, changing it up a little bit, because this is something we don't really talk about on calls or when we're playing games and stuff, is music tastes. I'm incredibly passionate about music. I don't know about you. So I thought, might as well ask about, are you into music? If you are, what bands? Or what are your, let's say, top 5 bands / artists that you listen to regularly? Do you know what I mean? If there is any, because you might not be a music person. Who knows?
I am very much into music, but I am very select on who I really love, and then I'll just kind of take songs from other people here and there. Hayley Williams is like my idol when it comes to music. I love her voice. I love everything she does. She's fantastic. So her single albums and Paramore, I just adore. Churches with a V as well. I love them very much. And then like Michael Bublé, Aviva, Rick Astley, a bunch of other,
I didn't expect you to actually like Michael Bublé. To be fair, that is quite surprising. In all honesty.
I do, yeah. He had a great voice.
Interesting.
But yeah, that's I take a lot. I like Panic at the Disco, Fall Out Boy, stuff like that as well.
Those early 2000s punk rock bands. Yeah, I really
mostly pop punk for me.
Yeah, I'm really into my metal, rock and stuff. So, for me, my music taste is all over the place. But Billy Idol, Don Broco, Catfish and the Bottlemen, Queen, and I'd say like, I don't know, Elton John, just to throw it in the very 80s based, or it'll go like to modern, but 80s and 70s I absolutely love. That's where my head's at. So yeah, so you've got the next one, which I thought was a little interesting to ask each other, since something that I don't think we've really talked about that much.
Yeah. So as former Lego and Bionicle collectors, would you ever go back to supporting Lego if they were to bring Bionicle back for a third go?
Just to give context for listeners that haven't a clue what Bionicle is a Lego theme which was incredibly popular, that got cancelled in 2010, was it? In 2009, I think. Something like that. And it got brought back in 2015 and then got cancelled again in 2016. Now, I'm not a fan of Lego anymore, so yes and no for me, because it would be another rabbit hole I'd be jumping down into, and I don't really have the space. But if the sets were like proper Bionicle and not like system, minifigures or anything like that, then maybe, but it would have to be incredibly convincing for me to be like, yeah, okay. What about you?
It is also a solid maybe for me. I've really fallen out of love with Bionicle and Lego in general the last few years.
Which is quite sad, because Bionicle was one of the main thing that brought us together and stuff, so it's quite sad. But yeah. I definitely don't think I wouldn't go out my way to get it.
Yeah, I poured 2 years, 2.5 years nonstop into Bionicle and making Bionicle videos.
Yeah.
And I think I really just spent a lot of my creative energy I had for that. I still have projects I want to do, but I don't think I would ever dive fully into it again.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm definitely looking forward to the things that I'm going to do with my side of things, but yeah, I just... Could I give Lego another chance? I don't think I could. Just because I know fine well I would get rid of it eventually. So, yeah, moving on. Top 5 video games from any era, like, so PlayStation 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or Xbox, whatever, or Nintendo, do you know what I mean? So, yeah.
So my top 5 video games, going in descending order, would be Batman Telltale at number 5, or I guess ascending order. Ghost of Tsushima at number 4. So Batman Telltale seasons 1 and 2 together. But Ghost of Tsushima, Metal Gear Solid 5 at number 3. At number 2 is Uncharted 1 through 4. They're all so damn good, and they all work so perfectly together. I can't pick. And then at number 1 is God of War 2018. What about you?
Let me just... Hold on, 2 secs. I think I've got a list. I'm not so convinced about one of them, though, but I'll give you it anyway. So, starting from the bottom upwards, GTA 4, easily my favourite Grand Theft Auto game. 5 is shit compared to it. Now I've got to go The Last of Us. I haven't played the sequel, so that's why it's in there. A Little Big Planet 2, which really should be in the second spot. Infamous Second Son, if you've ever played that. And finally, Transformers: Fall of Cybertron. So they're my 5 games.
Interesting.
I was going to quickly put Uncharted in there, but I haven't finished the series yet, so... But it definitely would have been in there if I had finished 4.
Okay. So, our 10th question. What are 3 sci-fi or superhero movies that you either dislike or outright hate?
Oh, right. Episode 9, Rise of Skywalker, let's go. Awful movie. I hate it with a passion. Then it's got to be Transformers: The Last Night, the film that genuinely broke my heart because it made me realise the other films were actually shit and what everyone was saying was true. So that was quite something. And oh god, sci-fi or superhero? Cats should be under sci-fi because it was freaky as anything, but that was terrible. But I can't really say that. I think that's all I can think of. In all honesty, those are the 2 main ones. What about you?
Okay. So mine, in no particular order, would be The Phantom Menace. Unfortunately, but puts me to sleep every time. I just cannot.
Jesus, I would have thought you would have put the Attack of the Clones on
that. I can stay awake through Attack of the Clones at least.
I mean, to be fair, Attack of the Clones does have the Geonosis battle at the end.
Yeah, and it has proper Ewan McGregor Obi-Wan. So.
Yeah, true.
But Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous whatever the hell.
I still haven't seen that film.
I have for some reason, and it's bad.
Okay.
And then my most hated comic movie.
Yeah, Mike's messing up.
Is it?
Yeah. It's just I don't know. It's quite weird.
Hello?
Yeah, it's sort of. Hold on. It's like if you are you touching it or anything. That's what it sounds like. You know when you touch your mic. Hold on. Keep saying something.
Hang on. Hello.
Yeah, that's fine now.
Hello. Okay.
Right. So if you
want most.
Go on.
Go ahead.
Oh no! I was just saying. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Okay. And my absolute most hated comic book movie of all time is Eric Bana's 2003 Hulk.
Oh God!
That movie
yes.
is just an abomination.
Yes, I'd say
in
that
the
as
worst
well.
possible way.
Oh God!
And I sat through it, and it felt like 4 hours.
It's like when they do the comic strip bit. It's so fucking shit. Yeah.
Hulk looks like the Jolly Giant. He keeps getting bigger and bigger, and
God, yeah, I agree with that. So finally, how do we know one another?
Well,
I think you're better off telling the story.
That's fair. I do want you to give your take on it afterwards. Initially, I met 2 of my friends on YouTube, Toa Kirminakoto and Renzolian, through a live stream they were doing, and we started talking for a bit. And then I started collaborating with another friend of ours, Thatch Mac. And we were kind of putting this little group together, and it was cool. And then we were adding people, and I was just browsing YouTube one day, and I came across some videos and some Bionicle mocks that you were doing, and I really loved it. And I loved your reviews, so I posted a comment, and I was like, hey, you want to talk sometime? We're putting a group together, whatever. And you accepted, and we all just really meshed. and
the rest is
together
history.
we've been.
Yeah,
it is history.
So I could say my side of the story, which is quite bizarre because if people don't know, we were part of a group called the Hapori. There was a good few of us and stuff, and we kind of did our own podcast as well, and our own individual YouTube channels with story content that linked and so on and so forth. It was like its own universe kind of thing. I had just started out on YouTube on my Lego channel, and I was putting ideas like saying this is a story that I'm thinking of and so on and so forth. And I remember getting a comment off Tyler, and yeah, it said that, and I was like, okay, alright then. So I accepted, and I got added into this group chat. And I remember you calling me on Skype, and you were like, oh, I'm going to put you in a call with someone, and it was Thatch. And I remember sitting there telling Thatch all these ideas and just rambling on, and I was so nervous because it was like such a different thing that I had on like the first time I got proper involved with other YouTubers before. So it was quite nerve-wracking, but yeah, we all gelled, and here we are, so... It's kind of mad when you think about it, in all honesty. But yeah. So
yeah, I didn't know you were super nervous about it.
Oh yeah, I'll shit myself. Just feels like, oh God, I don't know what the hell's going on here. So there's a new movie out. It's called The Batman. We've already said that it's in our top 10 movies of all time, so that kind of should tell you how we feel about this thing. You've got the order of the things, so if you want to start us off, and we'll take it in terms, and we'll go from there.
Alrighty. So to start with, we should just do our overall thoughts of the film. I personally think it has been everything I've been waiting for in a Batman movie. I have been working on and planning my own Batman miniseries to do on YouTube because there wasn't a Batman interpretation in film or anything that spoke to me, and this one really speaks to me. But yeah, I love it. It's my second favorite movie of all time. And I just think it's fantastic.
I completely agree. I've never felt so in love with the Batman before. I mean, I got the impression that it felt a lot like the Arkham games, especially with the detective side of things. So that felt right at home for me personally. But just this much angrier, grittier Batman, I was like, yeah, this is exactly what I need. It's like not just like the film itself, but it's shot beautifully, and I honestly think it is a work of art. It's just top-notch filmmaking. There's no fault with it in my eyes, and I think anyone who's still banging on about Ben Affleck's Batman need to give the red a shake. So. Yeah. So we'll jump into our thoughts on the opening, because it was definitely a different opening to any Batman film that came before. So what did you think for the opening, without spoiling anything until we can talk about spoilers?
Okay, so the opening, in the most vague way I can give it, makes you feel like you're setting up for the typical like Batman origin story, and then it very clearly swerves it in a different direction, and shows it that it is the current day, and that Batman's already doing stuff, and stuff is happening, and it really sets the tone. And that there is trouble brewing in Gotham with the Riddler. That's not a spoiler. He's in it. But yeah, I think it was perfect for the tone, the narration that is throughout is just it's wonderful, and I'm very happy with it.
So the opening for me was incredibly. I was on the edge of my seat through that opening with Riddler, especially. It really had a horror vibe to it.
Oh yeah,
and I was like, "This is a different Batman. Like this is dark." I was like, "Yeah, kids are gonna be shitting themselves at this film, but let's have it," because I was like, "This is fucking freaky," but I can't stop watching it. Without spoilers or anything like that, the opening does resolve around the Riddler, and there's a beautiful shot which is incredibly, I wouldn't say horrifying, but it really was like, whoa, that's creepy, is when that character moves out the way and you just see Riddler stood there, and the reflection from the TV's on his glasses, and it's like he has these white piercing eyes. Okay. That was freaky. I was like, oh no, I don't.
That was.
That was
That was straight out of like the original Halloween or something like that.
It was creepy.
Terrifying.
I was like, oh, I love this. The rest of the opening was great. Voiceover, which can be risky, but it worked in this film, I will say that. Do you want to take the next one?
And it was...
Oh, sorry.
Yes, okay.
I just didn't... I didn't...
The voiceover... the voiceover was just... it's not like most movies do, where it's just at the beginning for like arbitrary setup. It's actually part of the story.
Yeah.
And the establishing of this character. And it's just so well done. So, speaking of which, this character, what did you think of the Batman and Bruce Wayne?
I thought they nailed Batman. Like, this is the most Batman has ever felt in any Batman movie. They got it down to a T. It's into his second year. He hasn't really figured out the persona of Bruce Wayne yet because he's so focused on the mission, which I quite like.
Gotham Project.
Yeah, and I know people are complaining and saying, "Oh, he's a terrible Bruce Wayne." It's like, yeah, but him being Bruce Wayne isn't his his priority. He's far too bothered about being Batman. I've got to say, Patterson nailed it. He's such a good actor, and I don't think people give him enough credit just because he was in Twilight. So, yeah, what about you?
I think, yes, Batman is just perfect, like, early stages Batman in this. You know, he's intimidating, he is a badass, and he is scary at times, but he is also, you know, he's a little reckless. He takes more hits than a more seasoned Batman would.
That makes him like more deadly, I think. Just because he's like, I know it's careless, but like the fact that he's just walking into bullets and stuff, it's kind of like, yeah, this guy doesn't give a shit. Like, if he's not backing away from like bullets and shit, then you know,
it certainly does wonders to highlight his uncontrolled rage in this movie.
Yeah.
But he's great. He will fumble with certain things, or you know, just
I will say,
take hits. He is human.
Yeah. I will say one of the things that I loved that they constantly said throughout the film is that if you use a gun and you kill someone, that's it, you've crossed the line, you know better than them. That, like, is the best middle finger to Zack and his Batman who did kill, and, you know, which is a very bad incarnation of the character, so... Yeah. So, moving on, we have Catwoman. What did you think of Catwoman in this movie? Or Selena?
I think Zoe Kravitz has portrayed what is now my favorite on-screen Catwoman. I love Anne Hathaway's Catwoman, but that's just because I love Anne Hathaway. She's not really Catwoman. But Zoe Kravitz very much feels like she embodies Selena Kyle as a character in her early stages, and their dynamic together, her and Batman.
Yeah.
I hope she gets a new costume that is more truly Catwoman. And I hope to see her get a sequel as well.
I really liked Catwoman in this movie. She's never been a character that I've been wowed by. But I've always enjoyed her company, especially when I'm playing Arkham and stuff like that. So yeah, I enjoyed her in this film. But yeah, moving on. Who have we got next?
We have the primary villain of the film, Paul Dano's Riddler.
Yep. An exceptionally acted character that genuinely was terrifying at times, and I would honestly say would give Heath Ledger's performance of the Joker a run for its money. In all honesty, that's how much
he is
was convinced by his Riddler. What about you?
He feels like a true serial killer in this movie.
Well, I mean, he was based on the Zodiac, and you got that feeling as well.
And he is a driven one at that, and he's just so ridiculously intelligent. He is always 2 steps ahead of everyone as they go through. And I did like the take that they took it, or the direction they took it. It was set up in they released a prequel novel as well before the movie, and it was set up a bit in that as well, where he doesn't really grasp social norms and interactions so much, which is made evident in a certain scene where he talks to the Batman. And he is just very almost awkward, but also
he's incredibly
unpredictable in that sense.
You just don't know what's coming out of his mouth. It's quite surreal when you actually watch it. Kind
of looks like me too.
Do you know, I'm not gonna unsee that now. I want to watch it. I just absolutely loved his performance, and like a great new addition to the list of actors who have taken on these incredible characters. And one incredible character which was performed exceptionally well as well, Penguin, or Oz, as he was mainly referred to in the film. Did you make of the Penguin in the Batman?
Well, Colin Farrell certainly transformed for this role, because he is unrecognizable.
It's ridiculous.
He just looks like another human being entirely.
It's crazy. If that makeup doesn't win Best Oscars, it's rigged. Better win it.
It absolutely should next year. That is, it's so deserved. But he's kind of, everyone in this movie is kind of in their early stages, and he is up and coming. He's not the
Cobblepot
Kingpin analog as of yet. But he's that slimy scumbag criminal type who knows how to talk his way out of situations.
Very, very fitting of the character.
Yes, there is rumors of an HBO Max show in the works about him.
Yeah.
And now that I've seen the movie, I can say that I will definitely be watching that.
So I genuinely thought he was amazing. I kind of wish we saw a little bit more of him, but we saw enough of him. Yeah, I hope he's in this trilogy throughout, just as like a background villain. I would love that. I think he's like perfect for that. So yeah,
he can become the perfect representation of the organized criminal element in Gotham, for sure.
Definitely. Yeah. So,
but moving on, this movie is gorgeously filmed. What did you think of
so as someone who does pick apart movies and can't sit like still and just enjoy them sometimes, this film was just gorgeous to look at. And I was talking to Akoto, for example, about the look of the MCU, and I was like, seeing the Batman and what DC are doing with how they're filming their standalone, well, quote-unquote standalone stuff, it really makes me wish the MCU had so much more personality in terms of direction and cinematography. The closest we've had to that is the Eternals, and I mean, you know, that happened.
The Eternals.
But yeah, this film is gorgeous. Every scene is just eye candy. It's ridiculous. Yeah. I really wish all superhero movies looked as good as this all the time, honestly.
I don't know. I feel like it would... well,
not as good because,
I think...
you know... But you know what I mean.
Yeah. I think this movie and Joker as well, less so, but is also very well shot. And the cinematography isn't just pretty for the sake of pretty or distractingly so. It is all in service to the story and the characters. And it's all just very masterfully and intentionally crafted. The scenes, like, there will be scenes where someone is out of focus and you're seeing just blurred action happening, and it just kind of adds to the sense of unease.
Yeah.
Or the shot in the trailers where Penguin gets in the wreck and Batman walks from the fire upside down.
That is incredible.
Just, ooh.
And then like him just like slowly bending down, and he like doesn't even make any effort. That is like, it's so good. And the flare scene, one of my favorite scenes in the movie, I must say. Yeah,
absolutely incredible.
It's just such a gorgeous film. Honestly, you cannot fault it whatsoever. But yeah, so. Moving on, overall thoughts on the movie being a detective thriller rather than being a straight-up superhero flick. What do you make of that? Do you like it, or...?
So happy. So happy. Batman is a superhero, yes, but he is also supposed to be. DC's lost sight of that, even in the comics, for a long time. But he's supposed to be the ground level, you know, like Daredevil. He's in the muck, he's in the dirt, he's getting his hands dirty, and he's having a shit time while he's at it.
Yeah.
And it just feels creepy and unsettling, and just like an awful situation to be in the whole way through. And it's just so well done, and he's so smart. You know, you can see him when certain riddles come out. You just see his gears turning.
Well,
and he
that's it. With
spits out an answer.
That's it. Like, I noticed they don't give him a lot to say. Like, not saying that he doesn't say a lot. He does, but comparing him to other Batman lead actors or roles or whatever, he doesn't say that much in terms of he's constantly working, and whenever he's in a scene and he's just silently looking around the room, you're like, he's thinking up something. Like, you can see him working even when he's not talking, and I love that. Me personally, I absolutely love the fact that they went full on detective thriller in this film, because that's exactly what Batman is. And I think when
the world's greatest detective.
Yeah, and when you start adding these really overpowered villains and stuff, you kind of you just lose that with the character and stuff. The thing that makes Batman so believable is that, like, realistically, anyone could kind of be him, you know, and stuff, and just go out and kick the shit out of people. But yeah,
I think if we get a trilogy, which we're probably going to get a trilogy,
most likely going to go.
I think we will see different aspects of the Batman highlighted each film, but I think we will still always have that undertone of that he is the world's greatest detective, and he will figure this shit out all the time. Yeah,
definitely, 1000%.
So, what are your thoughts on the movie's theme song?
Incredible. I haven't stopped listening to it. I know the dun 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 dun, like, that is all great and all, but the first half of the song, I'm so in love with it. The very, like, the theme oddly has a perfect way of distinguishing Bruce and Batman. The first half of the song is Bruce, this broken, tortured young man who is suffering with the loss of his parents, who has let that consume him fully. And then you get the Batman, which is angry, brooding, you know, so frustrated with the world, and that's why you get this, like, dun dun dun, this much angrier side. I love it, honestly. One of my favourite themes, easily. What about you?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think it is incredible. It does take inspiration from the Imperial March, but I think it takes that inspiration and just twists it in its own perfect way.
Yeah.
I also love the use of Something in the Way by Nirvana for this movie.
Yeah.
It is
that was
perfectly
really
somber and, like, calm and cool, but also it kind of has this sense of dread to it that I like so much.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, that's the theme. So, what was your favourite scene in the movie? Obviously, we can't talk about spoilers yet, but if you can,
my favorite scene was definitely when the thing happened with the thing and the other and the guy. You know, that scene. No, my favorite scene. I think my favorite scene is in the final fight, if you would say.
Okay.
There is a moment where Batman's knocked down, and Selina comes to him, and then Selina's in trouble, and Batman
I know the scene.
Loses it. Yeah. That is my favorite scene.
Is it also followed by the scene what the guy says, and then Bruce is kind of like, oh shit? Because I actually love that moment.
Yes. Bruce laying into that guy, and then just him, like, being pulled back by Gordon and locking eyes with Selina, and just.
So for me, there's a lot of. I'm trying to think. There's three that I can think of, but I'll list them and then go for one. So the first one is when you first see him and you hear the footsteps in the shadow, and then he reveals himself. That was great. The Batmobile starting up and the chase that followed, that sent shivers down my spine, and I had the biggest grin on my face. That was so good. But my favourite scene is the flare scene at the end, I think. Just because it represents so much for the character. And yeah, it was just beautiful to watch. So yeah, that was all.
That scene, the movie is all about Batman, being a tool for vengeance, and everyone even refers to him as that, as seen in the trailers.
Yeah.
But that scene is where Batman becomes a symbol of hope. Yeah. And that's just...
it's
so, chills thinking about
so good. Yeah, the movie understands Batman perfectly. Did I just read that one out, or did you?
You did. So, to bring us to our last real discussion point, what would you like to see in a sequel?
So, in terms of a sequel, I'll give you some picks for some villains. Mr. Freeze, Professor Pig. I mean, you laugh at his name, but he's a pretty dark character.
He is. Oh yeah.
And maybe for the sequel to be set 4 years into his tenure. I think that could be interesting if like each film was like 2 years after the last one. Do you know what I mean, or something? Just to see how much his character develops and whatnot. What about you?
Oh yeah. So I would really like to see Dick Grayson Robin come into it.
Yes, I think he's in this movie as well.
See...
I think that little kid in the film is him.
I don't think so. I think that's the mayor's kid. I think what's happening with that is setting Batman up to consider taking care, like that will set him up to consider taking in and taking care of an orphan.
Yeah.
But I would like to see Dick Grayson come in the sequel, and I would like to see him maybe get a spin-off show between 2 and 3, and then be Nightwing by the third movie.
Oh yeah.
But I would like to see, like, if we continue this universe just focused on Gotham, we could get the Batman trilogy, and then if we have Nightwing by the third one, we could get a Nightwing trilogy as well, which I think would be great.
Yeah.
But, I'd also love to see, my favorite scene seems to set up a certain thing that a certain luchador character tends to use in the comics.
Oh, yes. Okay, yeah.
We'll talk about that more in a bit, but I would love to see Bane, Mr. Freeze, yes.
Yeah.
I would like to see the Joker, of course, at some point. There's a lot of storytelling potential with Two-Face. He's been done very well before.
Yeah.
But he could be done well again. Deathstroke is one I'd like to see as well if we're going to get into a movie where Batman's tested more physically than he is mentally in this one. Deathstroke would be a very good analog for that.
Yeah.
And let me think. That's I mean, I'd like to see the Court of Owls as well, but more as like a
Robert Pattinson said that he'd love to see them.
I'd like to see them more in like the Carmine Falcone role in this movie.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess we'll talk about spoilers now. So spoilers, if you haven't seen the movie or you don't care, just this warning from this point onwards, we're just going to ramble a bit. I don't know how long the segment's going to be, probably not that long. But yeah, there's not that much to spoil, really. I mean, there is one.
It's just really how things happen.
Yeah.
And there is one big spoiler.
Yeah,
yes.
so I guess we can talk about that big spoiler. So, spoiler 1 in 3, 2, 1, you had your chance. What do you think of Joker in this film?
I think it is very exciting. There's little glimpse you get in his silhouette of his smile and the wrinkles at the corner of his mouth, and it is just eerie. And I think for how little his role was, I think why did I blank on his name?
The guy who
what's
plays
his name?
Druig.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name.
Barry Keoghan.
Yeah, that's it.
I think Barry Keoghan did a very good job at it's just setting up that his character exists in this world. I would like to see him work on his laugh a little bit more, just to make it more creepy and demented and like maniacal.
Yeah.
But he seems like a very good fit for a young Joker, and I would love to see him up against Pattinson.
So, I mean, hold on. Sorry about that. Just had to cough there. So I liked it and I didn't, in a way. I kind of felt like it wasn't needed, but and then when Matt Reeves explained it, for it being there, I was like, yeah, that makes sense, actually. I personally,
always in danger. Yeah.
I personally think we won't see Joker as a main villain in this trilogy. Just because, I don't know, I've just got a thought behind it. Just because Joker's been done so much recently, maybe in the final movie. But I wouldn't be surprised if he was just like a prisoner in Arkham that all the villains are like, you know, constantly seeing or something. In every film we get more glimpses of him and whatnot. Yeah, that's really the only spoiler.
Pretty much.
Yeah. That I can think of anyway.
I'm trying to think if there is anything that
I can think of anyway.
Really a spoiler. Yeah. No, I guess not.
Yeah, they kind of played it safe,
not
didn't
anything
they?
that would be like. Yeah, not anything that would be like a major no-no. But
Alfred nearly gets killed. That was a shock.
It does, which brings. Well. It doesn't really bring them much closer together. Bruce feels bad, but
it makes him.
It's
realize.
what happens afterward.
It makes him.
This is a spoiler.
Oh, okay.
That Thomas Wayne hired Carmine Falcone to have someone killed who was trying to expose.
Now, this is what I love.
Medical secrets about it.
This is what I love about the film. It doesn't paint the Waynes as these perfect people.
That's something I love about the Telltale game. They were dabbling in corruption with Falcone as well in that game, and it was very good to see it here. There's also kind of a juxtaposition with the Bruce Wayne in this movie and the Bruce Wayne in that game. In that game, Bruce Wayne loses it on Alfred. He is screaming at him in rage. And in this, Alfred's hurt, and he's just confronting him like calmly and quietly, like, you lied to me. It really highlights how reserved this Bruce is.
So finally, we are more or less 2 months away from Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. What are your thoughts? Like, Are you excited? Are you worried for anything? Is there anything you hope to see in the film when it comes out?
I am excited. Yes, I'm very excited for everything to do with Strange and Wanda, and their variants. I am concerned about the level of cameos we might get, and certainly we know we will be getting cameos because revealed one in the trailer, and one on the poster. So there are things about that have me concerned about it just being too much, but I think it is going to be a grand spectacle of a movie even if it isn't, rock solid.
I'm very much looking forward to it. There's not much I'm worried about. I guess the cameo thing kinda, but we say this, but when we watch the film we're like, oh yeah, oh my god, do you know what I mean? I guess when we rewatch it, we'll probably have more of a problem with it. But the film is apparently almost 3 hours long anyway, so it's got time.
Yeah, I picked out some issues after seeing No Way Home. Some issues I had with that movie. So I kind of expect the same thing here. But
yeah, I mean,
I still love No Way Home.
Yeah,
I'm still super hyped for this.
That's fair. So yeah, that's episode 1 of our podcast. Thank you for listening. If you have, or made it all the way through, I'm sure we both appreciate it. I don't know how long this episode is going to be, but yeah, just want to say apologies on my end as well as Kasai's Tyler's side for any audio issues we've had. We're just getting used to this thing, so please don't knock us too much. But yeah,
I've got a new mic coming.
Yeah,
so that should help.
That's going to be something to look forward to and see if it should help anyway. But thank you for listening, and I'll see you on the next one. do you want to say something?
Next time.
Bye. Bye.